Hey there, welcome back. I have a video here that may save you some time with the verb ofo in all of its forms. This is going to be a really short video. I just wanted to go over some of the things about ofo that make it different than other verbs, and it can be a little tricky, especially when you're first starting to learn. In fact, if you are just beginning to learn Norwegian, maybe this will save you a lot of aggravation, sort of memorizing how this verb works one way and then to see that it works totally another way. And if you are a little further along, maybe it'll help you nail it down a bit better. But this is meant to go with the flashcards that I have. And so let's just, okay, and faux it's a verb, okay? But it's also an adjective, and it means few, like not many, few. But we're not doing that in this video. We're going to just talk about the verb. So let's lay it out. All right, let's see. There are 3 important things that you should know about ofo, okay? That'll make it a lot simpler and hopefully save you some time. All right, number 1. It can be used as a regular verb or an auxiliary verb. This is the major thing that really I remember learning ofo in my Norse course, and of course you learn it that it means to get, but and then you see it in other sentences, and if you don't know that it can also be an auxiliary verb, it really confuses you. So let's see here. Here is a sentence with the verb being used normally, okay, as a normal verb. Berdahan få en ny chance, right? And the way that you can tell it's normal is when there's a noun. So basically, you can tell it get another chance, okay? Get a bicycle, get something. And then usually that means that faux is behaving like a normal noun. All right, let's get the next example here. All right, de forventa. Here's an auxiliary version of the same verb in the present tense. And the way you can tell it's being used as an auxiliary verb is that it's jammed up against another verb. That's really all you need to know. And this is a very simple example right here. I figured I'd use simple sentences for this because, big, long, complex sentences, yeah, they'll show you how confusing it can be, but I just wanted to demonstrate what happens. This verb is helping the main verb. So once you're aware of that it can do either function, when you see a sentence that really does not look normal, I mean, there are some very exotic sentences with exotic sentence structure. The ofo can really rearrange things. So you kind of have to get used to that. But that's how you can tell the difference. That's one way, at least. Okay, so number 2. Okay, many times ofo does not translate into English very well. When I make flashcards, sometimes the English is really easy, and I change the English to match the Norwegian. I never change the Norwegian to match the English. And wow, I mean, this verb in all of its forms can be kind of challenging. So, I mean, it's not easy to translate it into English, which is fine, but when you're trying to understand what something means, that's really, the only way to do it. It has to be, you have to find out what it means somehow. And then the other thing is, sometimes it replaces other auxiliary verbs, okay? And I'll show you. Here's an example of how it doesn't translate. You don't say in English. You don't say "au faux" to receive a child. You have a child, and there are a lot of things like that that you have to sort of learn one by one. And once you see that and you understand it, you just remember it. It becomes natural, you know, with using it. You learn it, you practice it, and then you actually use it, and it sort of becomes reality. But there are many examples, believe me. So it's almost like just a little bit of a warning about this verb. A lot of other verbs translate directly very easily. And here's a sentence. When I first moved to Norway, my father-in-law used to say all the time, "Vi får se, vi får se." And I just started saying it myself, and I had no idea that this was being an auxiliary verb. I mean, it's right next to the verb se, right, to see. And what's really weird is I have a friend that says "vi må se, vi må se." He says that all the time, you know, when he's driving to a job. "Vi må se," you know, we get to see what we need to do at the job site, you know. And it's really interesting. And but when you know how it works, you're not just repeating. Like I was walking around repeating my father-in-law, but it's so much nicer when you understand exactly what you're saying. You know, that's the difference. So, but there are many, many other examples of how "au faux" will fit in. It can replace "can," it can replace "skal," it can replace "will," and people do it all the time. So this is just another thing that, like, students don't like this. Yeah. Students that are learning another language want everything to be simple, you know, but you know, they're not always simple. So that's why I'm making this video here. So, number 3, it's used in a lot of derived terms and expressions, and these are actually really good. But if you don't know them, what happens is you'll be listening to the radio, listening to someone talk. They'll say "fotaki," for example, and if you don't know that means to get a hold of something, right? You just don't know it. It's just like a black hole, and that you don't want that. You want to know. And it's kind of funny because these I tried to get all of them I could find in the flashcards, and of course there's always more. As soon as I'm done, there's like 5 more that I've never seen before. But I was watching a Danish TV show, and this lady said "fotaki." You know, I said, okay, so they say it in Denmark too, and you know, it makes all the difference in the world. But they need to be learned one by one. So it's really worth it, because you're learning more than just one word. You're learning half a sentence or a big piece of a sentence. And that's the other thing about these that you want to sort of be aware of, is that they can appear in all kinds of sentences, at the end of sentences, in the middle, or in the beginning. And it's amazing, because you're replacing like basically confusion and an empty space with full understanding, you know, pretty much full understanding. And these two, I put these two in here because these are very similar. They almost mean the same thing. You could pretty much interchange them. And what I would recommend is to go ahead and look for examples of how they're used online by simply putting them into a search engine. You know, just typing this in to the search engine, and then you can see it used in all kinds of different sentences. You see how it's used, like "photo till." You know, how would you know you would not know unless you know this. Okay, and this happens in English. It happens in all languages. I would think it does, because it's a very efficient way to communicate. You know, just having these fixed expressions that that mean a lot more than what they seem to. So, at face value, at least, if you're just looking at the words. So, anyway, that's about it. I just wanted to put this video up here along with the cards, so you would have an easier time using the cards, and hopefully this will save you a lot of time and a lot of confusion, especially you guys that are starting out. You see the verb ofo in any of its forms, and if the sentence doesn't, you know, look like anything that you've learned so far, chances are it's probably because it's acting as a auxiliary verb, or it's part of an expression. You know, it's one of the three things that I mentioned in this video. So in any case, look at till and ha det bra.